Hello, and welcome back for another episode of Patriotic Housewife. Well, you guys, today, Tyler Robinson had a court hearing. They had a court hearing to kind of go over, the charges and all the restrictions of, the media, transparency versus, not allowing media, that kind of stuff. So I kind of just wanted to go over that like super briefly. And then I also put together a message that I just felt like I felt called to talk about just because of all the things that are being shared on social media. And I think it's overwhelming for a lot of people. I think everyone feels overwhelmed, you guys. At least I know I do. It just, everything feels really heavy going through all this. And I don't know. I just think this is something that would help people just, I don't know, maybe it'll give you some relief. So, obviously, right now we're being told not to ask questions. You're not allowed to ask questions. People who are asking questions are being judged. It's turned into a huge argument. You can't go online and hardly say anything. And, it's causing, I think, a lot of division. There's a lot of arguing. We've all heard about, the 7K, posts, the whole pro who movement through the geofencing and all these different things. And I think it's starting to really show, who's on the side of right and who's on the side of wrong, right? That's just my opinion. But the reason I talk about this is you guys, we can never stop using our critical thinking. We can never stop using our voices. Okay. You're being told to only think and use your voice if you're going to regurgitate the narrative that the mainstream media wants you to take. We're watching Erica Kirk come out and, do interviews with Glenn Beck and do these interviews where it's against your Christian beliefs or it makes you a bad person or you must have a mental disorder if you are using your critical thinking. Now it's like the thought police on top of you can't say what you want. The one thing that Charlie Kirk was against was, you know what I mean? He never wanted to lose free speech, right? So my message tonight is kind of just, if you're using your voice and you're asking questions, I genuinely want to encourage you to continue to do that and never stop because Charlie wouldn't want us to stop. He wouldn't. And if you really loved Charlie or you really cared about him or he inspired you, I think he touched so many people that didn't even know who he was until this entire thing happened. And really, he left us with the biggest, most important piece of advice. And it was to always keep asking questions. It's the only reason why we're free, and it's the only reason we remain free. And like I said earlier, this is a battle between good and evil. It's not about red or blue. It's not about left or right. It's not about Republican versus Democrat. It's so much bigger than that. And divided, we fall. Um, right now we get to see people's true colors. You see, what influencers, are really real. Podcasters, celebrities, the list goes on. You can really start to see someone's values and who's afraid to really take a stand and who's being paid to take a stand, and in different alliances. So I just wanted to kind of show you guys a few people that I've seen online that are and the narrative seems to be the same about Tyler Robinson. They're using the term smiling. He's just so smiley, he just can't stop smiling. The smiley killer, um, the smiley assassin, everything is smiling. And, it's some of the same people that have always kept up that same narrative. And it's funny, but it's not. But it just kind of draws this attention to who's who. Sorry guys, I have something in my eye. It's like mind control. If they keep on repeating the same thing to you and you keep, listening to it, eventually you start to believe it. Kind of like think of like the law of attraction. It tells you to speak the same thing into your existence every day. Like, I'm going to win the lotto. I'm going to win the lotto. I'm going to win the lotto. And eventually, internally, you believe that. And then you attract what you've thought into existence, right? They say a lot of times, rich people are rich because they convince themselves in their mind that they're rich already, and then it gives you that fire and that drive to go out and do something. I don't know if you guys ever heard that, but there's a lot of Rich Dad Poor Dad's a great book to read, just for an example. So today, obviously, I'm going to just do a brief overview of the court case today. Today in the courtroom, for the hearing, it was mainly just like I said about media access, his charges, what the next steps are. The attorneys discussed, how much media access will be given regarding the transcripts and the audio. And at one point, they asked the family because Tyler Robinson's mother, father, and brother were there, and they asked them to leave the courtroom, like, everyone was asked to leave, and I don't know why that made me feel very uncomfortable. It was like, what are they doing that the family needs to leave? I didn't really understand that. There were, news organizations that were, they're pushing for, access to everything about this case, and it seemed like the defense and the prosecution really were pushing like, "Oh, well, we wanna have a lot of control of that because they want him to have a fair trial." And there was like a huge debate over restrictions, like versus transparency. And the news organizations were trying to tell them, essentially that transparency is so important here, especially because there's so many, in my opinion, holes in the investigation that if there isn't a ton of transparency, I don't see how this is going to go over well with the public. And I'm sure you'll have people outside that courthouse. I think this is going to be huge. And I kind of feel like we should start a movement where if they deny transparency and they deny media in the courtroom, I think we all should stand outside that courthouse and demand that transparency. It's a state case, it's not a federal case. And transparency is not going to ruin a fair trial for him. I don't know why this is any different than any other murder investigation. No offense. Obviously it was an assassination, but I'm just saying that it doesn't really add up. In the previous live stream, Robinson was in shackles and a jumpsuit, and then today he was in dress clothes, obviously like restrained with handcuffs and ankle cuffs, but at least he was able to appear in dress clothes. And as I said, the thing that's going around is the smiling, and the same people pushing, I call them the smiley clan today. They're the very people attacking us for doing the one thing that Charlie wanted, which was asking questions, using your voice, agree to disagree, open dialogue, keep an open mind. So let's just dive into a couple examples of the smiley clan doing their, I guess, damage control. I don't even know what you would call this on the internet. It was quite interesting. So let's just jump right into a good old Benny Johnson. He seems to be quite the gem. As you can see, this was his Instagram. And what did he say? Oh, breaking Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson appears in court for the first time. He is smiling and laughing, demonic, evil, sick, made it quick or make it quick, like, here we go, smiley. And I think I saw somewhere too, and I've always said this too, the assassin thing. What about, as I said in previous videos, innocent until proven guilty? But I guess this is all backwards now, like no such thing. Then we're gonna go ahead and look at, and this one I'm really sad to put up, but I've always told you guys be I'll be straightforward about stuff, and even if I like somebody and they start to move weird or they do something that's like a little off, I'm still gonna talk about it. I love hopefully I clicked the right one. No, I didn't. Hold on. I love Patrick Beck David. I hope I pronounced that right. I probably sound weird when I say it. But I love PBD podcast, and I'm really disappointed in Adam. I think a lot of people have watched that interview where Adam kind of goes in on Candace, and I think that that's really sad. I didn't like his attitude about that. But now they go on their Instagram and they give the same old story as good old Benny. So when we look at this, here we go with the evil smile. And of course, like, look at the Candace in the chat. But I mean, why? I'm so disappointed with this. Especially because Patrick has said he's not buying the narrative. So why are we like, did what happened? That's what I want to know. Like, what is happening? So there's that's from Instagram, and then we're gonna go to Twitter and look at a couple people where first off, Graham Allen, I can't stand him anymore. He just gives me the ick. I wasn't really too happy with his behavior from um in the beginning when Rob McCoy came out and said, "Oh, she shouldn't be questioning anything about Charlie's, assassination. Candace Owens is crazy. I hope that she's the same friend to Charlie that he would have been to her had the roles been reversed." And then you have this knucklehead and David Harris Jr. Being petty little girls essentially, talking about Candace. And he, by the way, has been going after Candace so crazy that I have to assume, like, I don't even know why, for what, for asking questions. But he's like demonic now to me. And I actually used to like listening to him, but not no more. He's obviously something's weird there. I don't know what happened. Maybe some kind, I don't even know. I'm not even going to say it because this is all alleged, guys. I'm just saying, like, did someone get a call? What happened? Are people being bullied? What's happening here? So yeah, he's pretty disgusting with his remarks. I had to like take him off of everything. And David Harris Jr. was, I mean, he was awful with Candace too. It was actually really petty after Charlie died. He posted a picture of them all on the road together and chopped Candace out of the picture and entirely cropped her out. And I thought, wow, the level of petty that we're seeing from men these days is really odd. Here's another one, Jack Posobiec. That's not shocking though, right? I mean, I don't know. And once again, like there's all these smiley comments. I'm pretty sure he's got something down here. Hold on. Sorry guys, we blew that up on accident. I'm trying to find. Oh, he might have, maybe it was on a different post, but zero remorse either way. But he see with a smiling picture, it's all got this like smiley. They're just like emphasizing the smile so hard. And then this one is another one. I don't even know who this woman is. I just happened to come across her on X and I was like, here we go with another smile. I could have probably made a list so long, you guys, of like the smile narrative today was like overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. It was like, it's laughable at this point. I mean, you're trying too hard. Look at this. Tyler Robinson is in court today. I'd love to wipe that smile off his face. Like, ooh, you bad. I don't know. I had to come out and say that. So you have to start wondering when everyone is literally saying the same thing. Why are you guys all have that same verbiage, the same, pictures? Like, it's like everyone just took the same thing and ran with it. It's just odd. So I just kind of wanted to hop on here and just tell everybody Charlie would never want us to sit here, be afraid, not use our voice, not ask questions. It's the one thing that he stood up every day and stood for. It's the reason he went to college campuses and debated young kids. And it's the reason that he, got on stages and did different conferences and different things like that. So just don't this is not a time to be afraid. This is a time to pray, really lean into our faith, stay true to who you are. Don't be afraid to lose people around you for staying true to how you feel and who you are. Um, those who are, who love you and really care about you aren't going to do that. And I just see a lot of bullying of people. And I think people are just very afraid to even be able to speak their truth. And hopefully, this, encourages you to just don't be afraid to stand in that. I think as a Christian, we're called to stand in truth. Obviously, we're called to be brave, we're called to be courageous. And it's not the easiest thing to do. And majority of the time you get pushback and you get hate and you get blamed and name called and diagnosed and that's just part of it. And I I always remember, my grandma, and even in church, they tell you, Jesus faced a whole lot of criticism, a whole lot of hate. Um, they killed him, you know. So if you're walking with God and you're in your faith, you're going to be um, you're going to be persecuted. That's just a part of it. So hopefully this finds you guys that need to hear this message. Hopefully it encourages people. And I think we all need to be praying for Tyler Robinson. I don't know. I really hope that there's, I mean, I think there's plenty of reasonable doubt, but I pray for his legal team. I pray for the jury if we actually, do end up at a trial. Hopefully we do. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think, guys. Please like, comment, share. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know where your guys' head is at. I just want to know how everyone's feeling. Like I said, I know it's a heavy time. It's, I think, a dark time right now. So I think we're going to come out on the other side of it. I just think we got to keep praying and keep spreading kindness and good, and just, keep praying. That's the biggest thing. So praying for you guys. I hope you guys all have the best weekend. I'm kind of recording these before the weekend so I can take a couple days to just hang out. And I will see you all in the next one. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't and you enjoy the content. Be well, guys.